I'd like to call to order City Council work session for June, not July, June 2nd, 2020. Can I get a roll call, please?
Sure. Councilperson Justin Nobbert. Councilperson Brett Bondurant. Yes, Councilperson Tommy Roulette.
Present.
Councilperson Tony Abbott.
Here.
Councilperson Lenny Fryman.
Present.
City Attorney Dale Weldon.
Here.
Mayor Kelly Milan.
Here.
And myself.
Can somebody make sure that that door's open?
Yep. You want to drop it?
In case they want to, yeah, just prop it open in case somebody wants to come. You can use that chair.
Justin used a chair. No, I think he needs this one. Thank you.
Technical difficulty.
Where's the chalk at? You still have a wooden chalk at? Got it? Tommy.
There it comes.
There it is. Be right back there.
The one on the left will stay open by itself.
Everybody's just running around. Look out.
You guys all settled down now?
795.
Do we need to get you a set of pens, Justin? Okay, today's meeting is solely for the purpose of reviewing the pool guidelines in light of the COVID restrictions. And first of all, I want to thank the committee that put the draft together. I believe that was Guinevere and Kelly Brookbank and Mike Abden, Jenny Felix. He's right there.
Dell.
Oh, and Dell.
Sorry, Your Honor.
And Dell. But anyway, so you guys have you guys had a copy of this?
Is this the one you're pertaining to? Yes.
Yes.
This one had emailed to us?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So what we would like to do today, I don't have a copy of it up here, do we?
Copy of it.
Yeah, we do, right here. No.
I have a couple.
Do you have
extra
copies?
Yeah, I don't have one either.
It's Mr. Roulette's
I had it on my phone, but I
Yeah, I
didn't.
thought everybody should have
Text
a
it.
copy.
Thank you.
Yeah. And Mayor, just for the public's benefit, there's an echo. We know that there's an echo of the IT problem that's supposed to be fixed today. So
Oh.
the people
On the-
viewing from home will have a little
Okay.
difficulty.
I didn't know that. Okay, anyway, so you guys had been emailed it. Had you
Correct.
had a chance to look at it?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Did you check your email? Okay. Well, you take this copy. What I'd like to ask is if there's any, she's making one. Any questions, comments, additions, deletions? Because what I'd like to do is if there are, get those put down in writing tonight and approve the document with the changes that you guys make so we can get these out to both pool personnel, and then also we're gonna hand them out during the pool pass next week, passes, when we do that.
All right, my first question. City of the second page where it says they have to wear a mask or recommended they wear a mask.
The pool employees?
No, not pool employees, for anybody. If you're not.
Just recommended.
Just recommended. So if they're not wearing a mask, there's
No problem.
nothing we can do about it.
No problem.
And they should not wear a mask when swimming or diving or using the slide.
Yeah, just a recommendation, Tony.
Cause I know a lot of women that'll be there, they don't want no white spot on their face when they get tan.
I get it, I get it. I get it. And after, once this document gets approved, we'll have it on all of our social media, Like I said, when we have June 10th through the 13th, we got time set aside to do the pool passes at the pool next week, which I would assume will be pretty busy, I would assume.
Now, the disinfectant we use, that does this virus, right?
Yes.
COVID-19, the SARS.
The Quadstat we've been using down there for several years, it kills coronavirus, the SARS, it kills coronavirus and the SARS with coronavirus. It kills basically everything.
But any sanitizer or solution right now, they said is sufficient for.
What we've been using is a hospital grade. It's
Okay.
called Quadstat. We've been using it for several years. And that's what we always use to clean the restrooms, spray down the lounge chairs before we opened. We always use that kind of stuff, just
Okay.
because it was much better than bleach. And much
Yeah,
safer
I
to
wouldn't
use.
Bleach was eating the metal.
Yeah, we don't wanna do that.
Well, what we're using is the cleaner that's approved by the EPA, the Indiana Department of Health, and the CDC, so that's part of the guidelines.
So is that the Quadstat that we've been using, or are we changing cleaners?
Is that the same, Mike?
We've
Well, we
already
can-
sent the cleaner over to her from Brad Massey.
It's the exact same stuff that we've been
Okay,
using.
good.
Quadstat and it are the exact same.
The same?
Good.
And then we're good.
Awesome.
They kill, actually, the Quadstat kills more than the cleaner that they brought over does.
Yeah. Well, we're good, as long as we're using the stuff that's recommended.
I got one.
You wanna give the mayor one, cause I have this.
I got one.
Yeah, if I may say, that you guys did a very good job with this.
They did.
It looked like there was a lot of thought process put into this, which needed to be for sure, but I
Well,
commend
and-
you all for it.
And this packet you got, like the membership, the application that they're gonna be using to fill out, the signs that we're gonna get. We didn't order any signs yet, cause we want you guys' approval before we do that. They'll be placed everywhere strategically. Any other questions? Yes,
I
sir.
got a question here. For the bathers, kids in the pool, it says, under no circumstances should lifeguards be required to enforce social distancing expectations. This could distract them from their lifeguarding duties. So if we've got 6 kids in there jumping on each other's head, what are the lifeguards supposed to do then?
Well, we're gonna have-
Extra people to try and keep them apart, cause it's gonna be hard to keep them little kids apart.
We're gonna have,
Monitors, aren't you?
we're gonna have monitors doing nothing but walking around, disinfecting. We got, the managers are gonna be doing nothing but walking around, doing the social distancing. And they believe, yesterday we had these kids over there, call them these kids,
They are my kids.
over there, and,
Ask 'em.
we've explained, you know, that that's the expectations, and one of her assistant managers were there, but she can communicate to the other one. But yeah, the monitors, which would have been concession stand workers mainly, they're walking around disinfecting
Yep.
all day long, unless they're on break. We're gonna close the pool for 15 minutes every hour. Is that,
The main pool will be closed for 15 minutes every hour. We normally
we can shut it down, or
we
wipe
kept the
it down?
splash park open, just because that was where the little ones could be and stuff like that. I'm assuming that's still gonna be that way this year. If we
I would
have-
I would shut everything down for 15
want-
minutes.
so
That
you
gives
guys
us a
would like-
chance to disinfect. Yeah, I think perception, right?
Right,
Like we talked about yesterday. If you're okay with it, I would say that you ought to shut down every hour, 15 minutes. And that way the monitors have a chance to go and wipe down everything they possibly can that the kids were touching,
so we won't have, because our shutdown was actually Adult Swim.
right?
So basically you're saying we don't do Adult Swims this summer.
That's what I was suggesting, but I'm open.
Well, question with that is, I mean, if the adults, if they're swimming, what are they touching?
No, what I'm saying is, that gives us a time, if somebody wants to, if we want to go down and wipe down the rails, the ladders, the
Right.
things like that, well, where people are in there, then we wouldn't have that opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, we can still, I mean, actually, you can still do adult swim, because they're just in the main pool, 2 lifeguards. People could still be cleaning what they need to be clean. Once you do that, you're gonna have a mass influx to the bathrooms, things like that. So it's gonna be more difficult for my people to do the bathrooms and stuff.
Okay.
So if we do that and we shut everything down, we say, oh, everything's closed, then it's gonna be more harder for them to clean things. I think it's gonna be, we're gonna have to actually look at it and say, what can we do here and how can we get this to work?
Well, then why don't you do this? If you think it's more beneficial to have the adult swim, we can still, I mean, people can still go around and they're not gonna be going down the slide, you know. They can still go around and wipe down the
Right.
rails and everything else. But I do think it would be beneficial to shut down the baby pool stuff. That gives
Okay.
us an opportunity to wipe it down all throughout the day.
Yeah.
You know, with that downtime. I don't know, just a suggestion.
We were talking about that, I'll be honest with you, me and my assistant managers were talking, like, how we're gonna do this. If the equipment outside, I don't know how we're gonna get the pirate ship wiped down. You know, because that's, you go up, they go up, I can send one of the employees, they're gonna have swimwear up to wipe down the rails, you know, cause you go up the steps. I said, it's honestly going to be, we were gonna take next week and actually start going through. This is what we're gonna be doing every single day.
Okay.
We're gonna run them through basically like a training sessions. This is what you're gonna do, cause I don't wanna be on June 15th, all of a sudden, everybody saying, what do I do, how do I do this?
Sure.
We wanna be prepared, we wanna know what we're doing. At the 15 minutes in every hour, this person's doing this job, this person's doing this job. They know to do that as soon as we open on the 15th.
Well, and that's the key, and Mike and, I know Brian Messmore too are gonna be working directly with Dee at the pool. The key to this, the key to success here is that you do the same thing every day, and that you log it, and that we have pre-shift meetings with everyone on site to remind everyone of their duties. So we just wanna have every single day look exactly the same. Start each shift with, okay guys, here's what you remember, here's what we need to do, and then we go through each day in the exact same way and log what we're cleaning, when we're cleaning, and Mike will be coordinating to you, Dee, in training and implementing that between now and the 15th, so that everyone hits the ground running. But the key is consistency and just doing the same thing every day.
Okay, like my lifeguards know their training, they know what they're supposed to do every day. It's just the newer kids, and the ones that have not been in this situation, you know,
No.
it's gonna be different for them.
Will we have all the restrooms open? Is that included?
Our plan was to try and shut down half the stalls, so it'd be less for them to have to worry about going in and cleaning every time, because the intention would be if when people go in and use the restroom, we're gonna have a monitor go in after them and clean. And if we can limit to 3 out of the 6 stalls or whatever being used, that cuts down the amount. I don't know.
That disinfectant cleans up the urine on the concrete too then.
Yeah.
No kids waiting to get in the stall.
Yeah.
One thing I'm thinking, if we're gonna shut it down, then all the kids in this pool, they can't go to the baby pool, splash pool area. They're gonna go straight to that restroom, straight
Play
to
in
the
the
showers, and they're gonna play games in the showers. That's exactly what.
That's
they're
why we
doing.
got a monitor there.
So we need to have a monitor in each restroom
Yeah.
during those times.
Well, they can't stay in the restroom, but they can make sure there's nothing going on in the restroom.
Right.
They can't,
Well,
you
they
can't have a
Can't sit there and watch them.
They can be out in the hallway of
Yes.
the restroom.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So they can keep
And
an eye
that's
on
where,
those kids.
yeah.
Our thought was we actually close the restrooms. We can close the doors, we do our cleaning, we get back out. And I'm gonna hopefully have them trained where they can go in, one person in the boys, one person in the girls, and they can be in there, get it cleaned, everything wiped down and back out of there within hopefully 5 to 10 minutes. And then we've opened them back up, because it is gonna be a massive rush to the bathrooms.
We're talking
every
about,
time.
we're talking about wiping things down. Why isn't they can't use this, can you use a sprayer to where you go in, does that hurt the chemicals in the pool? The disinfectant that you're using? I
Well-
mean, you see them when they're going through the airports.
Well, the
Just spraying it?
recommendation is that when you spray it down, that you wipe it off.
Ah, okay.
Spread it over the whole area.
Yeah.
Now,
Okay.
will we have the pavilion restrooms open? Are
No.
they closed?
They're closed. But,
Yeah,
oh, sure.
So, I just want, hey, Dee, I appreciate your vigilance in this. I mean, it sounds like you really done a lot of research and thinking through this.
Trying to.
And I know a lot of this is protocol that you guys have done in the past, it's just safety procedures, and even, having Mike and some of these resources I think are amazing. I guess one of my biggest concerns is, and we're talking about a massive change of the environment at the pool currently, as far as helping, and my whole thing with this is, if we can help encourage these kids to social distance at the pool, then maybe they're going to socially distance better, when they're running around the neighborhoods, and help, prevent the spread of this COVID virus. So maybe it could be used as an educational purpose. But my deep fear is that if we let 200 people come in here, and I've been there when there's 200 people, as I'm there regularly. I mean, you're walking on people's heads going across the pool. I mean, it's just really busy.
When you've been there, that's probably about when there was 500 people there, you just didn't realize it.
Is that many?
Yeah.
So, well, I mean, I've never counted people. I'll give you that. But my concern is, I want this to succeed. I mean, I voted that we open this pool, and I want it to succeed. But my fear is that if there's 200 people in there, and it's going to be a popular place. A lot of these other activities have been canceled. The pool is going to be the place to be. But if we start out with 200 people, my concern is that it's going to be very difficult to really get a grasp. There's going to be a little bit of a learning curve when people first start coming in here, and suddenly, how are we going to do the bathrooms? How are we going to do this? And we can run through trials, before they open up. But if we have, how many staff total do we have? 18 or 20?
There'd be
At the pool?
25.
At
No,
the-
we have 27, not counting if you count the managers, we have 30 staff at the pool.
So 30 staff there at one given time?
No.
About
Okay.
25.
No. On one given day, and that's nothing we've clarified yet either, but we're looking probably to have 15 to 16 staff,
Okay.
including your managers on there a day.
So we'll say
Including the
20.
managers?
Yeah.
Well, if you look at it's either going to be 9 or 10 lifeguards. It depends on how many.
Right, and six
And you-
monitors.
Well, you got 6 monitors, but I don't know, are we putting I've only hired 9. So, and
Yeah.
we're doing 7 days a week. So we were doing 2 at the front, and again, we're working on this. We figured 1 in the pavilion, 1 in the splash park, and then 1 will have to be for the bathroom. Again, we're kind of playing around with this. How many are we
But
gonna
I
actually
don't-
have to do?
Why would you need one in the splash park while they're swimming?
Well, you were talking about having a monitor on places to keep
No.
people social
No.
distancing.
Well, but what I'm saying is that their job primarily is to disinfect
Right,
all through the day.
right. So you've
And,
got a gate
no, and
that's-
social distancing is the managers, the adults.
Right, but there's the gate that separates the splash park from the pool, that new one that actually locks itself.
Yep.
These are all questions that I've been bringing up the last
Yeah.
couple days, because I wasn't there when they did the other meeting, so I wasn't part of how they were planning this stuff out.
we
Do I
didn't
have
either.
to have an employee there wiping that gate down
Mhm.
every time somebody goes in and out of it?
Yeah.
So that's somebody at the splash park.
Yeah.
Well,
Are the hours listed, or am I just not overlooking them?
people can
Other
be
pool.
in a lot of different places wiping down stuff. They don't have to be stationed at the gate. They don't have to be stationed right there, because we're gonna expect them to wash or wipe down more than just that gate. They're gonna be maybe over wiping down the ledge, over by the pool building. They're gonna be, any place they can wipe down, we expect people to wipe down. They're not gonna have there's no way you can have where they got a route. I mean, it's just not gonna work that way. I think those people, we wanna make sure that the people see our folks disinfecting every possible thing they can as much as they can.
And I think there's a lot
I
of,
told those kids yesterday in that meeting, it's not gonna be a fun job.
no, and there's a lot of procedures that, I mean, they're gonna be monotonous, and they're not gonna be fun. But I'll just, enforcement of social distancing, I mean, I see, kids around, and we're saying that there's no exceptions, that they must maintain 6 feet between them and the party that, any party that they're not with. That's gonna be very difficult.
Yes.
And my deep concern is that, because if we can't handle this when it first opens up, I'm not, demeaning anybody's ability to be able to, you know, do their job, but there are limitations as far as, you know, how many times are we gonna tell kids, you know, the enforcement of that? Who's gonna hold them accountable to that? Who's gonna, you know?
Well, I think there's a sense of personal responsibility here too, with the parents and stuff. You're sending your kid to that pool knowing that you're not going there to help them maintain the rules, and I think we talked about that in the beginning. And that's all in all the paperwork and everything too. We'll do the best I can to keep the kids apart, but you're downtown, and Justin, you are, kids are with each other constantly now.
Constantly,
They're
they
all
are.
together.
No, and I agree, it's 100%, it's gonna be all of our responsibility together.
So we'll be saying,
kids.
okay, you guys need to do this and you need to separate, and we'll do the, you know, best we can, but again, it's gonna be a lot of personal parental responsibility.
It is, and I just feel like, you know, us, the best we can, if it's not good enough, what do we do? I mean, we can say we're gonna give it our best effort, but
right.
if it's not working, and that's my fear, is if we start too big, that it's gonna be very difficult to get a handle on it to make sure that we get it working.
Well, another thing, Justin, though, if I'm right, or if I'm understanding this right, chlorine does kill this virus, right?
We're not worried about in the pool.
But I mean, you're talking about in the pool.
It
That's
doesn't-
where the social distancing is gonna come in, isn't it?
No, we're talking about outside of the pool.
Outside the pool, on the pool decks.
In the
I don't
in the
think
water,
that'd be as
there's
hard
not
to
as big a
handle as it
concern.
would
It's
be
outside. It doesn't kill them. They don't stop having the virus because they got into the chlorine.
Right.
If they're carriers of it. So it's outside of that. I want to see it work. I want to see it work. And my fear is if we open it up with 200 people, 180 people, and then our 20 staff, that we're setting ourselves up for failure. So that's
That's another good question, 'cause I didn't see anywhere that, is the total 200 minus our 20-ish, give and take in staff?
Okay, so, all right, that was another thing that we were confused about. We were under the understanding it's 200 patrons and then your staff, because you're allowed up to 250.
Total.
Well, we wanted to go below the 250. We wanted to go below what the guidelines said, so we would have a better chance of controlling it.
And we're 1/2 bather load. We're at 1/2 capacity or 250, whichever's lower.
Whichever's lower of the two.
Did-
What is the total capacity?
Did we figure out our
458.
total capacity?
458.
Is that the splash park and the pool?
The splash
Oh, that
park
would be
the splash park has a capacity of its own also.
Oh, it does?
Yes.
Probably
Main
have
pool
another,
is
what, 100 or
458,
something?
And the splash park was, if I remember correctly, Mario told me 300.
Mario's numbers here, just to clarify, the pool in typical and normal circumstances would have 274 bathers. The splash pad waiting pool would have 310, so that's a total of 584. So you're being very conservative with this bather
That doesn't
capacity.
make any sense, though.
Stopping
Those
at
numbers.
200 and
Yeah,
The
then
numbers don't make any
Splash
Those numbers
park
don't make
seems
any
more
sense.
than it should be.
that's the Spear
That
Corporation.
doesn't make any sense that the pool would be
Less
less
than
people
splash
than the
park.
splash park.
I'll agree.
maybe it's standing surface of being standing outside of that area.
No,
It-
the way that it's determined is it's determined by the surface of the water that you have. You have a bigger
Okay.
pool area than you have at the splash park.
Yeah.
Well, exactly,
Yeah.
but what I'm saying though is, your point, Justin, as far as, you know, hey, we don't wanna set it up to fail right off the
Yeah.
bat, right? I mean, by having too many. I think I personally, I think they've taken into consideration the amount that I think that would be 200 people, 180 people in that pool is not that many.
Now, when you spread them around, it's really not.
Now, we may be surprised, I mean, once we start seeing this, but here's what I think, you know, we can start with that number. Because we think it's a good number. I don't know, maybe everybody doesn't, and if you guys want to change the number, we'll change the number. But that's the number for June 15th. That's what they, you know, came up with, you know, and then could be adjusted up come July 4th, right? But what we could find out, Justin, very early on is, you know what, that number's too high. We can't control it.
I think it's just gonna be a lot harder to pull back than to get this
No,
thing well-oiled
we
and
control it.
grow.
We control the number of people in there every day. If we
So if it doesn't
if we find out that 175 bathers is too many, we control that. Next day, it's 130.
What if we find out it's not enough?
Well,
That we
I don't
can
know
fit
if they're
more
out
in there.
being
Well,
not enough.
we can't really ramp it up until the next.
Well, no, we can ramp it up.
We can ramp it up to 50%.
Oh, 50%, yeah,
50%
okay.
of
Until
it.
the 4th of July.
That's what I'm saying.
But
Let's-
why would we?
Yeah.
Let's get a well-oiled machine and then ramp it up. We can even quickly, if this thing's working great, we have, say 130 bathers and 20 staff, 150 people total. This thing is working great. We have control of this. Everybody's working together. Then in 1 week, let's ramp it up. Let's add another 25
That's
people.
what I was gonna ask, if
That's
we could
fine.
meet, like, after the first week of the pool opening and say,
I don't
and
need-
let us
I
know,
don't think
can
we
we
need to
ramp
meet,
this up?
but
Because
we
we
can
may,
just make a decision.
we may
Yeah.
need to ramp it up, cause we might have people standing out on the sidewalk wanting to get in.
We might. Unless
Well,
we do. I'd meet
you're gonna
every
have
week.
that anyway, Tony.
Yeah, I think so too.
You're gonna have that no matter if you open it up to 300.
Especially with the number of things, other things that are shut down.
Shut down,
There's gonna
right.
be
Don't get
people on
in.
the
Well,
sidewalk.
Yeah, but that's just the thing, is, I mean, we've only got the Lawrenceburg residents now, and it's never been that way before.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know how hard it's gonna tax this pool, just being Lawrenceburg residents.
I think there's a few unknowns. There's variables that we don't know about yet until we get into it. I'm perfectly fine if you want to throttle that number down at the beginning. So then if you see, okay, say the number's 150 total instead of 200, it's 130 bathers or 20 staff, however that number is. And then after that week, you say, hey, I think we could handle a few more people. Let's ramp that up. I don't think that's an issue, and I think we can gauge that on how the week goes.
We could.
Right, Dee?
And it
I
might
mean-
help me a lot because I have a lot of new staff this year. I've hired 7 new lifeguards and there was only 1 returning for the cashiers. So as much training as I'll try to do before we open, we always had training the first week or 2. I always had a slow period because we opened Memorial Weekend and we were real slow. Now it's not gonna be that way this season.
But your training this year will be like no other year.
Right.
Well, and I
it'll be
think that's
totally
good.
different.
You're not retraining.
You're
trying
not
to train
training
something
anybody on a cash
they're already
register.
familiar with.
Right.
It's fresh
You're
and
not
new.
training anybody on a credit card machine. All you're training somebody in is to read a list, and the other person is a clicker.
Right, for your people at the window, I'm talking about
Yeah.
the people that are doing the cleaning and then my
That's-
lifeguards.
Like I said, lifeguards are lifeguards, right? They're not changing their jobs.
They're not changing their jobs, but they still have a training thing. They have to know how our rotation goes, when they go up into the chairs, what chairs go up.
Well,
You know,
yeah.
they have to know all of that stuff.
Well,
That-
the idea with that is you're gonna have to try to mix your senior people in with your.
That's what I usually assign a
And
new
the
lifeguard with a senior guard.
And the monitors are just, that's a job we've never done.
Yeah.
Right,
So it's just, you train them once and they should be able to get it. It's just, all they're doing is cleaning. It's, like I explained to them yesterday, it's just cleaning.
Now, we are gonna have a police officer there every day?
Yes, we are, especially for the first 3 or 4 weeks to see how it goes.
Good, that's a good idea.
Using an SRO,
Please?
school resource officer or something, or reserve?
Well, it's gonna be a posted detail. Main Street is gonna pay, because that way they can run the payroll through Main Street,
So you may have a patrol officer or a reserve.
either one,
Gotcha.
whoever signs up.
I'm with
like,
you.
for their details. Yeah.
I think
Now,
one
the-
other small concern, or could be a big concern, is that, and I know we have to have water, but how do we monitor the public water fountain? I mean, that's a,
Yeah, I was gonna ask that.
they go stand right there after every kid sticks his face and sucks on the nozzle like they do.
I would shut.
But then you gotta provide water if it's 95 degrees out.
We're letting people bring in food.
Yeah.
problem is there is a state law that says there has to be a working water fountain. So does this override that state law? Cause you would have to find that out.
Yeah.
That's a good question. I'm sure that it would. And this,
Personally, I don't have a problem with the water fountain being open. Once again, it's gonna have to due diligence on these, exactly what we explained to the workers yesterday. We need their help to make this happen, and if we wanna keep the pool open, it's gonna take everybody doing their part, and it's not gonna be easy.
No.
It's not gonna be easy, but we chose to open, and we're gonna make the best of it, and do it the right way, or try to do it the right way. you know, I'm thinking, okay, it's a 95-degree weather, and what if Johnny's there at the pool, he's a 10-year-old, and he doesn't have any water?
Yeah.
You gotta give them a bottle of water, or put
Yeah.
one of those filling stations
But-
in, that you fill your cup, and it automatically fills.
I would keep,
Did you get a hold of the group that was giving food to the kids last year?
Was it the clearinghouse?
We've
Was it
sent
not?
a message, but I haven't heard back. A lot of people are struggling with their
Yes.
donations.
Yeah.
But that's not even the bigger part. I mean, because here's the what the blessing in this, all this might be that some people come to the pool and they don't stay the full day like they normally would because they're going to spend their $10 at the concession stand and eat. They may come and leave. That way more people then can come in. You know what I'm saying? So it might be they come and swim for 2.5 hours and then leave, and then maybe somebody else can come in, you know, to take that place.
Have we thought about the people, like, I looked at the hours, I mean, you're gonna open at 12, so at 11 o'clock or 11:30, what time is people gonna start lining up if you're only letting so many people in? Is that gonna be a pretty good crowd outside? Have we looked at kind of social distancing out front in the front gate?
We've been talking about that too the last couple of days, and you know, I talked with Mr. Todd, and we talked about putting marks
Yeah.
on the sidewalk that said, this is where you must stand, this is where you must stand, this is where you must stand to keep people back. But I can't go out there and force them to stand on those marks. Some
The
people
key-
do
the
it, some
key-
people don't.
I think, Mark, what you said is exactly right. The key, and this is something that's gonna have to be really reinforced with whoever's working your front desk, is people just need to go in. There should not be a log jam anywhere, and the two potential log jams are entering and exiting and then the restrooms. So that's why we have these passes that are easily identifiable. When someone comes in the pool, they should just hold up their pass and walk right in. They shouldn't have to stop. They shouldn't have to talk to anyone. The person working at the front desk shouldn't have to come into contact with anyone. It should just be a steadily moving line.
Well, that's what we were talking about, and then, Guinevere gave me this sheet that she said we will need to fill out, like a log sheet, and I'll be honest with you, it's gonna take way too much time for my cashiers or the front people in the front to put all this information, cause they're
yeah.
gonna have to stop everybody to get
Right,
that information.
I think that was gonna be my response as well. I mean, there has to be some accountability to who's coming in or who's not. I mean, I know we talked about a potential waiver or something like that. That's obviously gonna log jam a lot of people.
Now, the system that we designed, I haven't seen that sheet, but the system we designed is that any individual using the pool will have to come to one of the sign-up events and show proof of residency, sign the waiver for themselves and any minor children that they have, and everyone will be issued a pass that is unique. It's got unique logoing, so it can't be copied, and it has a unique number. So, and the point of that is, if someone has a pass, that means that they've gone through that process.
Okay.
And so they should be able to just walk up to the window, holding their pass up, and just keep walking. They shouldn't have to stop. We shouldn't be
I think
stopping them at all.
we're asking them to show an ID if they're an adult too.
No, we shouldn't be doing that either.
Well,
here's-
Somebody's gonna be passing.
let's back up here. Let's back up here.
Let me
There-
throw one thing in there first, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
After being a pool manager for quite a few years down there, those passes are going to be passed around. You're gonna have people that
I was just
are
gonna-
not supposed to have a pass. They're gonna borrow their buddies. So we always make them sign in. Everybody has to sign in. And the cashier will get to know most of them. And you have to put a big old sign up there saying, you know, if you're not allowed in this pool and you come in unlawfully, it's fraud.
We do have that.
Yeah, we end up putting that sign up there because it just happens so much. They find a way to get around.
Here's another piece of it that a lot of resorts and places that when you go on vacations do. You have to have the pass to get in, right? Once you're in, there's nothing to say that D. Abbott or Brandon or Tia or Mike Abden can go around and say, hey, can you show me your pass? That pass needs to match who they say they are. And that's you can do it randomly, you know, and it's just a random check. That way people, they pass it one time, they won't pass it again because they're caught and then they're done.
Right. Well, in the beginning, I said it's a good idea for the police officer to be there because it will cause a lot of
Good.
agitation.
We're gonna learn a lot the first week.
I mean, we're adding one more thing after one. I mean, there's gonna be so much. It's,
But-
Well, you
but
live and learn.
the
I
only
mean,
way
that's
you
what it's
can-
gonna be.
The only way you
Trial
can
and error.
control it. You know, everybody's got a job to do and they're gonna have to do it, plus some. Or the pool goes closed.
Yeah.
that would
At
be
the end of the
worst.
day, that's what could happen if it's not done. We don't want it that.
Nobody wants that. to
No,
happen.
not at all.
So that, what we said all along, we need communities helping this as well. You know, I think Dee said personal responsibility.
Yeah.
It goes a long way, you know, if they want it, if they want to go swimming and have their kids go swimming this summer, then everybody will hopefully abide by the rules. And Tony, you're exactly right. Passes will get passed around, but you know what? There's nothing to say we can't do a random check once they're inside and say, hey, young lady, what, can I see your pass? And your pass says number 34. Well, what's your, let me see, we got the records inside, right? You can check, okay, pass number 34 or whatever that identifying marker is.
That's Lenny Fryman.
Let me see. You're not Lenny Fryman. Yeah, you know what I'm saying, though? That's the kind of,
Right.
Yes.
and I'm not saying we're gonna catch everybody. We're not. You're not gonna catch
But
everybody.
once word of mouth gets out that
Yeah.
you're doing that, they're gonna say, this is not going to
Just a
fly.
deterrent.
Yes,
Just a deterrent.
yes.
It just-
Keeping honest people honest,
We're not gonna check everybody. We
however you
can't.
wanna say it.
Can't
Trust me,
check everybody.
they try everything. I was
Yeah.
sitting at
Oh,
the
of
window.
course.
I was sitting at the window one day. A guy comes up and he gives his address, and the little boy behind him said, "Well, that's where I live." And then I swear, this guy says, "Oh no, that's wrong. This is the address." And I said, "Now we really got a problem. That's where my son lives."
Yeah.
And the guy turned around and said, "Screw it," and turned around and walked off. They try everything.
We
They
were
really
young
do.
ones too, remember?
Yeah.
I can't,
Remember
I was
the
gonna
things
say,
we
we can't
used
say
to
no.
do?
You've
Yeah.
all done it.
Thank you.
Find an angle.
Okay, let me ask you guys something. It sounds like there might be, maybe some interest in maybe changing the original number to start. Is that, am I hearing any of that? I mean, I see Justin.
I have the same concern. I just hate to, really stick our foot in the mouth early. I mean, even if we go the first 3 days and it's
Even if it's a
150
week.
people, yeah,
Even if it's the first week.
But
That's
I'm
what
not
saying.
doubting their staff there. This is a lot of responsibility on everybody, so.
do you
agree.
feel like it's a big number, too big of a number?
Yeah,
or too
I'm saying
small?
knock it back. Maybe to like 160, 150 area, even if it's the first 3 days or
I'm
first
saying-
4 days.
I would say if our area is what, 568, you say, or 700?
But I think we're gonna find out a lot once we see, and, okay, hypothetically, say the number's, what, 150 or whatever?
Yeah, just, off the
150.
top.
We'll have a good idea of how much room there really is.
Within
Yeah.
a day or two, I would
Right.
expect.
You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? It'll only be a day or two or three where, okay, if 150, we'd see, my goodness, we could probably use another.
But
Yeah,
the-
that's
the reality is, there's plenty of room if people abide by the social distancing standards for 400 people to stand in there. But it's controlling them, and
Yeah.
we don't want to control people. Everybody has to put forth their effort, but to enforce the standards that we're asking, that we're demanding,
Well,
no
and-
exceptions. It says.
Right.
When you're talking about bathing load and then you're talking about social distancing space, that's way different numbers and area. I mean, how many people are gonna be in the pavilion at one time other than eating? Probably not a lot, right? I mean, they'll go in there to eat their food, and that's what we want them to do,
Yeah.
and stuff, and I think Dee's got a handle on that, and things, but, okay, if we start out at 150, I just throw that number out there, that's what I heard, and we see in 3 or 4 days that, you know what, that's very doable, let's bump it a little bit. Nobody needs to know that except our workers and Dee,
Yeah.
because the person doing the clicking at the front will go, oh, we're gonna go to 175 today, this time, or 160,
Yeah.
165. You know what I mean? We can do that. And-
Opening day is on a Monday, right?
Yeah.
It is.
So wouldn't that typically be a lower volume day versus the weekend? Like a good day?
Normally, it is.
Yeah.
But not this
How how many people are back to work at this point in time? That was also, I mean, our concerns, like I said, this is all new territory for many of us. I'm thinking, normally, we're not that busy at that time, but honestly, it slows down more at the end of July than it does in June, because first part of summer, everybody wants to get that swim in. So
Yeah.
they're there, and with parents not working currently right now, their jobs aren't, they're just now starting to open them up again. Do I think we'll
That's-
have more? Yes.
That's also with kids and spring baseball and
Yeah.
summer activities.
Yeah, it used, we don't
So
have
that's
now.
I think the numbers
It
are all,
could be an abnormal Monday.
yeah.
Yeah, I would say it would be, especially with the new splash park and everything too. The
Right,
kids
yeah.
are just
Everybody's gonna
Never
want
know.
to
waiting to
listen
get
to
into it.
June 15th is the opening day?
Yes, sir.
So let's meet June 22nd and revisit it.
Well, I don't know that we need to meet to do
Pardon me?
that. I think by that week, I think every one of us are gonna have an idea or have been down there to witness it. I know I will numerous times. I'm sure you
Yeah.
go swimming down there.
Backyard.
You might have some idea. I don't know. You probably be around.
I gotta stay home and fix supper.
Yeah, that's right. But you know what I mean? And then we can just say, hey, you know, we can bump
Ramp it up.
We can ramp it a little bit or whatever. But I think I'm the one that came up with the number 200 at the original, and just based on the load and stuff. It may be a little bit too aggressive to start. So whatever you guys think the number is, we'll get it changed, we'll do it, and we'll abide by it and revisit.
I think 200 is fine, cause I don't want no kids standing outside the fence.
I don't either. That's the,
I don't either,
Yeah,
but I
I'm-
want them to succeed. I wanna see this be successful
Right.
right off the get-go, and I don't wanna, I think it's gonna be way harder to pull it back than it is to release it.
I'm not so sure of that though, Justin. Would
Oh, we
you
could always-
trust us as managers? The first few days, if we say, okay, we cannot do this 200, I could give the mayor a phone call and say, Mayor, we need to lower this number down. Because I'm gonna tell you, we're gonna be honest about it, because we don't want this to fail either. We wanna be able to do our jobs to the best of the ability. We want the kids to be able to do their jobs.
And I don't
If we
disagree
stay
with
there.
that. I don't disagree with that at all, Dee. But like I said, I was the one that put the 200 number out there. But now that when I'm thinking about it, it'd probably be much easier to add than put all the pressure on our folks
Yeah.
the first
It's not
3
that
days.
we don't trust, it's a matter of being able to enforce.
Right.
And I just think it's throwing way too much load on everyone, because there's such a learning curve. There's so many variables that weren't even unknown.
Either know.
We've got attendance. We've got attendance records, guys.
yeah.
And usually you didn't hit the 150, 200 unless it was
No,
a
I'm just
weekend.
worried about how
And it's
relative
not.
those
I was gonna say,
attendance
it
numbers are gonna
didn't
be
seem
now
like
with
there was that many
everything
people down
else.
there. I always said that.
Going on.
Yeah,
sorry,
and I
Brad,
also
what'd
think
you
it's
say?
a general reminder when the public's eye sees it crank up 25, 40, 50 people, they're like, oh, we're doing the right thing. You know, I think it sets in a lot of kids like, okay, we've checked all these boxes, let's keep ramping it up. You know, I think it's a
Well, in talking
Not a
about, if
reward,
you
but
start out
just
at the
a
150,
friendly
let's say
reminder.
we start at that 150, so it'd be 130 bathers, let's say, let's just, for instance. It's probably easier on you and Mr. Abden and Tia or Brandon to be able to ask people to, hey, do you mind social distancing? Families, they're fine
Right.
together, right? But, you know, when you knowingly have a lady there and 12 kids, you know, there's probably 2 families or 3, you know. So, I mean, we gotta be able to try and work with that at the very beginning and educate the patrons as well, I think. So, I can, you know, tell me what the number is, we'll get it changed,
I
we'll do that.
personally even like 150 bathers. I just dropping it back that 25 or 30 off the top of the 200, you know, not including the 20, give or take a guy or two or 2 or 3, but I like 150 bathers. I think that's a easy number to start with, and like I said, D, even after day 1, I don't even really mind if D's like, guys, we can do twice
So
this many.
We do
Or,
say
you know,
we do
or-
150. I mean, and D and them are up there and they see this. How long are we gonna do it for a week? We're
Oh,
gonna do it for a
it doesn't
couple of
have to be
days?
any-
Can we
Just
judge
Yeah,
it?
We'll just gauge it.
We may not see it because it's a Monday when we
I'd
start.
say
We
you-
may not see it till Saturday,
Right,
Sunday.
that's what I was.
Give it the
Friday,
weekend.
opening on
Kelly
Monday.
B was saying,
Yeah.
so that's why I said we revisit the next Monday, and I would concede to 150 bathers.
yeah.
And then, if, you know, the next Monday, we say, if Dee calls back and says, hey, you know, things went really well this week, we were able to enforce, you know, they're learning to comply. You know, we didn't have to kick out, you know, 60 kids because they're not complying. Then we say, let's bump it up another 25.
Well, how about in the beginning, if we go 150 and it's going easy, but we had to turn away 50 kids, can we adjust that number the next day?
Well, I mean,
Not wait a
I
week.
don't think
Yeah,
you
how do
want to
you
do
want them
that.
to hear them?
I don't think I don't think we'll be able to do it effectively if we do it that quick, Tony. That's my opinion. I mean, you guys are pool people, I get that, but what I'm saying is just trying to manage the numbers.
You think 150 people in that pool in the splash park area is very many people?
I mean, I wouldn't think
Maybe
so.
not in
We
the
had
pool.
200
What about
little-
outside the pool?
No, I mean outside the pool. I mean in the
That's a
whole
lot.
pool area,
That's a lot.
150 people are not many people.
If
I
you
don't think
take
so.
it- if
Even
you
with
take-
social distancing,
if
it's
you
not
take
many
it-
people.
If you take away the pavilion, there's not that much pool deck for 150 people to be 6 foot apart.
And that's, I agree.
But not every single one of those 150 have to be 6 foot apart.
Right.
Part of that 150 is a family
Yeah,
of
that's a
5,
good point,
they're
too.
together.
But they're gonna have a space of 20 feet, then you're gonna have to have another 6 feet.
Yeah.
So it all comes back to the number, but listen, let's just gauge it.
No, I'm just asking to be, not to wait a whole week if we see that we can easily handle more than 150.
Yeah, I think the only concern with waiting a week is just letting it get a weekend in. Let a weekend hit
agreed.
before.
If we were starting on a Friday
know,
or Saturday.
that's the only reason I
I'd
threw a
agree.
week out.
I would agree with you.
Yeah,
Well, 150 is 150.
Week's
If
gonna
it's
go
on
by
Monday,
quick,
if it's
too.
on Saturday.
that's not true.
Yeah, but
That's the
we
same
don't
amount of
know.
people.
Yeah, but
you're
as far
exactly right there.
if we cut 150 on Monday and there's only 3 people out, and then on Saturday morning we cut it off at 150 and there's 150 more people in line.
Well,
You know,
that's what I'm saying, but
my
there's only
fear.
gonna be 150
But
in
the
the
worst case
pool.
scenario, I mean, we're talking. I'd hate to do that, is leave a few kids sitting on the sidewalk. But worst case scenario, we start this thing at 200 and it doesn't work, and then everybody's on the sidewalk
What
the
I'm-
rest of the
what
year.
I'll tell you what, I think we're gonna have a pretty good idea of attendance after our next week of doing the pool passes.
Yeah,
We'll have a
Yeah.
pretty-
yeah, it's true.
We'll have a pretty good, we'll have a decent idea. There's gonna be some stragglers after that, you
Yeah.
know, that didn't make it, whatever, down, but I think we'll have a pretty decent idea of the numbers of people. And some people are probably gonna come down and get a pass that may not even show up until July, who knows?
Right.
You know,
Here, what I'm thinking too is gonna happen, because you're gonna be able to bring your own coolers and stuff, and they're all gonna come in as a family, and they're gonna be there. You might have 20 families come in, they'll never leave. When they got the coolers, I mean, hey, you're at the beach for the day.
Well, I mean,
Well,
honestly, even if there's
that's what I'm
200
thinking,
people
too.
allowed in the pool and there's 200 more people waiting, at that point, we're gonna have to visit the idea of shifts of 12 to 3 and 3 to 6 or something.
and we have the ability to change all this.
Anything, right.
I think we start out with what we say, and then, yeah,
Right.
we may have to do that and say, hey, you know, we're gonna open the pool from 12 to 3, the first 150, 200 people are from 12 to 3. At 3 o'clock, we shut her down for 15 minutes, everybody has to exit, and then we have our next wave. I don't know, we don't know how,
Yeah.
that way more people can get in every day, right?
Yeah,
What's the
usually the
hour?
way it went, and by 3 or 4 o'clock, you have a wave of people leaving. Then
Yeah.
you have another set of people coming in. You know, you
You
have,
already
Off
see that.
work or,
yeah,
You already
That's
see
already
that.
happening.
It's already kinda happening, so.
Yep.
yeah,
Once you get
I
off
mean,
work,
it's just how that
go
it
straight
works.
Yeah,
with the-
I mean, it makes sense, right?
people getting off work and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
And then people having to go home and do supper, mothers that brought their kids down, they're
Yeah.
going home to get supper, get their kids ready for whatever. And
Work second
Yeah.
shift or.
But a lot of those people are leaving at 3 and 4 because of baseball practice or
Right,
travel to
That's true,
soccer
too.
practice. I'm wondering how many of what kind of that figure is going to stay true to that pattern of
Well,
leaving.
and we don't know exactly how
Right.
many people outside of Lawrenceburg were coming to our pool
Nope.
in
We'll
years
know.
past. We can estimate, I'm sure you could estimate, but the thing is, we really don't know. So, you know, whatever numbers we're putting out there, if it's just Lawrenceburg residents only, and just for clarification for everybody that's listening as well, because I know there's been people contacted me as well. It's for people in the city limits of Lawrenceburg, period. If you live outside the city limits of Lawrenceburg and have a Lawrenceburg address or pay Lawrenceburg utilities, be thankful for the 2 months of free utilities. But as far as the pool concerned, it's for the residents of the city of Lawrenceburg.
Oh, boy.
You have to cut it off.
I know, but it's always been if you paid Lawrenceburg Utilities, so you've had these people come to this pool for the last buku years.
This is an
and now
abnormal
you're telling
year.
them they can't.
Abnormal
They're
year.
gonna be lining up. And she's been, I know, you've been putting that all
You gotta,
through
now,
years.
I'm gonna tell you guys, it depended on who was mayor, how that worked. During Mr. Tremaine's administration, it worked that way. During Mr. Cunningham's administrations, it did not. And then no, it did not. No, it was you had to reside within the city limits to qualify for a free pass.
But most of the
So-
time you didn't. So there's
They
gonna
just
be a
You know how
lot,
many
depended.
people that incorporates?
have no idea,
Incorporates
but-
a ton.
must be quite a few.
It's very, quite a few.
That's why
Yeah.
our family passes started dropping off, and we weren't selling near as many, because people were getting it based off of their utility bill.
Once again, I think we have to start as narrow as
Yep.
we can.
Yeah.
Agreed,
And go from there. But
agreed.
that's what I had been pumping out to everybody.
I think you need 2 police officers down there.
Hey, get your uniform on, Tony. Get your uniform on.
Kind of backtracking earlier, the cleaning, trying to think of a way to not have the bathroom problem, just with the number. Is there a way that we could cycle maybe the splash park and the pool? Like maybe shut at quarter till every hour, shut the splash park down for 15 minutes, and then cut that off, it's open, and then clean the pool? Is that an option? Just to stop all 150 people going straight to the bathrooms when we make them get out of the pool for 10 minutes or whatever to clean?
Like for adults,
Well-
what he's saying.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
adult swim time.
Here, what we could do, and that was another, I was sitting here thinking about this, how could I do
Yeah.
that, we get the splash park wiped down and stuff. Now, in theory, our splash park is treated with chlorine, the equipment and the pool, everything is, but not, I mean, you're gonna have chlorinated water touching everything that's there.
Yeah.
But then again, you're gonna have kids' hands touching everything that's
Right.
there too. So could we, in theory, yes, when we do the adult swim for the first 15 minutes on the hour, then the kids are gonna go rush into the splash park because they can't be in the pool anymore, so they're gonna go over there. Before that, could we close down the splash park? You're gonna have a lot of kids going over either to the main pool or to the pavilion.
Yeah.
And we could say, okay, this is our clean time for the splash park, and we're gonna do the splash park at this time. So, in theory, we could do that.
Yeah,
We
I
could
mean,
do
it just
that.
seems
then
like
open the
those
other
two
one up.
areas are a lot easier to
When you got adult
maintain
swim,
than
then they can
the
go back
bathroom
over
after
there.
each individual walks
That'd
in.
be smart.
Yeah,
You know, I mean-
that's something we can do. I mean, we're just switching from one to the other within
Right.
the same time frame. At this time, from the 45 to the hour, we're doing the splash park. From the hour to the 15,
Yeah.
we're doing the pool.
Now you could even incorporate the 5 minutes before the hour of doing a wipe down on the bathrooms. And then, as soon as they come out, whoever's wiping that down comes out and gives the lifeguards a thumbs up on the adult swim time.
Yeah.
Good point.
Yeah.
I mean, D, if that's a doable, maybe that's that's something you try.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, anything can change. We can change anything. I mean, it's just gonna be evergreen, so to speak. We don't know what's gonna work and what's not. We're just hoping that what we're trying is gonna work.
Yeah, and that's the hardest thing about this. We've always kept the place cleaned and sanitized and stuff. We've always used the best cleaners down there, but we've only had to do it before we opened and during, and then, at 2 o'clock and 4 o'clock, we did the bathrooms. We went in and did a walkthrough and to pick up and clean up in the bathrooms. Now it's gonna be more often. It's gonna be cleaning more stuff. So,
One thing I was wanting to ask you, the water fountains. Now, I know they didn't squirt out real good. I mean, they're not very high. Should we turn them up, Tony? To where when they're getting a drink, that they not got their mouth down there next to that metal piece sticking out?
Them water fountains have been nothing but a problem ever since they put them in. Half the time they don't work.
The what? All the fountains.
It wouldn't matter if they were shooting out like a fire hydrant, most kids would still stick their face on it. That's just
I know.
what kids do.
But that would kind of deter you from doing it, because the way it is now, I know you gotta get down there pretty close. Everybody's mouth is
Maybe
gonna be down
a
there.
little filling station, that you put, the motion sensor.
Correct.
Well,
Schools
I seen a
have
kid
them
down there,
now,
looked like he
yes.
was swallowing it.
Yeah.
Kelly,
do
do we have, in this document, do we have the number listed of how many patrons we're gonna allow in?
At the top.
Where we got that listed? I can't find it.
That's on the main rules
Yeah, front page.
Let me see it.
200, and then after a certain date.
What page is that?
And that's where I was saying it's limiting you to that time frame.
I don't see it.
Oh, yeah.
On that.
Don't mind.
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
Well, I mean, we'll have to change that language if we're gonna be increasing it as, as they see fit, however Dell thinks.
Well, I don't think we even have to put a number. It's at our discretion. That's what I'm
Yes,
saying.
yes.
I think we
Yeah.
take it out of
At the
there.
end of the day, it is,
Yeah.
yes, you're
I
absolutely
think we
right.
take the number out of there.
We just, by law, we have to post, where's your bather load currently posted?
It's right at
Front
the
window,
front
that's where
window.
So you have to tape over it and just put whatever the new one is. And you can change it, you can change whatever you like, but if we're starting with 150, you have to tape over it, write 150, then if it goes up, just remember to do that.
I can say it's right
But
there in the front window.
But as far as these guidelines, I think we just take it out.
Tape over them
Okay,
and change them.
so the city will limit the pool capacity, and I'll take out that entire 2 sentences then.
Yes. I would take out that whole
Oh,
sentence.
we still have to put, it does say that for Lawrenceburg
City
city residents
residents
only, so we'll still need to keep that language in there.
Yeah.
I'll
That's-
put that after June 15th.
That's another question I wanted to ask. Let's
So you
just say,
well, go ahead.
for simple facts, that whatever we open it up to later on, let's say our capacity, what, 500, is that what?
Yeah, rough
We
number.
open it up and we don't get 500, let's say we're only getting 350 at the most at one time. Now, it could be more, but could we at a certain time say, well, we can open this up to other people?
Well, how are you
Or
gonna,
we just
how you
wanna
gonna
keep it
manage
at
that,
Lawrenceburg?
though? The problem is, how would you manage that, since we have our Lawrenceburg residents that would already have their passes?
Yeah.
And then we start letting people from, let's say, Hidden Valley, Greendale, and we get to that number, but then we got Lawrenceburg people that are on the outside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, guys,
That
this is
makes-
for
that makes
6,
sense.
this is 6 weeks.
Yeah.
And it's different. It's just different. We're very fortunate to be able to at least try this.
Right.
And I think the community will put their arms around it and embrace it. And let's see how it goes,
Yeah.
you know?
Yep.
So we're gonna put that number at 150 bathers to begin with. Everybody's in agreement.
Sounds good to me.
So what I'd like to do tonight is, if there's any other questions about this. If there's not, the change that we're making, Kelly, we're taking out the city pool limit, but we are gonna just put in there, this is only open to the, Lawrenceburg residents within the city limits. So that's the only change that we're putting into the guidelines that you guys have seen and we've got written, okay? So I would entertain a motion to approve the guidelines and the signs. I hope you've looked at the signs. We're
Yes.
gonna have these posted
Yes.
throughout. I'd entertain a motion to approve the City of Lawrenceburg pool rules for the 2020 season with the change that we just asked Ms. Brookbank to change. I'd like to get a motion to approve that.
So move, Mayor.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion will carry 5-0. Well, I tell you guys, the city residents are going to be happy that you guys have done this. They already are. You've already seen all the posts and stuff, so we just need their help too.
At the end of the day, they see we're making an effort.
Yes.
Yes.
Did you do these signs, Mayor?
I'm sorry?
Did you do these?
No, I'm sorry. I'm not creative. Justin, I have no talent.
Our characters came from the new Splash Park. You've got Larry Lobster,
Oh,
you've
geez.
got Miss Turner, and
That's awesome, Mayor.
um,
I think they
Gus
look like
the Gator.
It's pretty
Yeah,
neat.
They look great.
So Morgan Peets,
What new
our
Splash Park?
intern, helped
Yeah.
kind of solidify the idea of getting the kids engaged and helping participate so that it can continue to be a fun environment, but yet with social distancing, washing hands, restrooms, entrance areas, and so that guidance inventory also showcases how many signs, where they're at, and even with the slide, you know, all of the characters are on the slide. The slide will have 10 person limit based on social distancing, but it makes it fun, engaging, and you know, it's an amazing resource for the community.
I mean, could we name the crab Lenny though?
Yeah.
Lenny the crab. Crabby
I was
Lenny.
just thinking of SpongeBob.
Just Crabby Lenny.
That's what my kids want.
Gwen did an amazing job with these signs, and as we think about opening our playgrounds, and as we think about music on the river and the events down town, I think more of these signs will be terrific. You know, to have these, especially with the characters at all our parks and playgrounds. So just think about that. Because now that we're finalizing the pool opening, the next thing is music on the river. The next thing is the community center. The next thing is the playgrounds, and we can use a lot of the things that Mike Admin and Kelly Brookbank, Guinevere, the mayor, all did a great job laying the groundwork for. We can take that and apply that to these other situations to make sure we're making our city as safe as possible.
But in those areas, we're going to use all the councilmen's fat heads.
I was gonna say, we're gonna get some bobbleheads.
Raise some money selling bobbleheads.
Yeah. Okay. If no other questions or silly comments, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Good luck, Dee.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thanks, D. Thanks, D.
You're gonna need it
Got a
all.
lot to do.
Hey, good luck,
Hope
Tony.
not.
I
I'll be home
honestly think,
cooking supper.
I hope that we actually pleasantly surprise everyone.
I hope so too.
I'm
I mean,
excited.
because me and Brandon and Tia